Now that we kind of talked about what a vector is, the parts of a vector, and what you're going to use vectors to represent, why don't we talk about adding vectors? And it seems like a weird thing to be talking about, but if you can add vectors, you can do so much. So you can add vectors in a couple ways. You can add them graphically or in components. And we're going to talk about graphically. So if we have some vector, where you need two vectors. So if we have one pointing out like that, and one going, say like that. So obviously the second one is a lot shorter in a completely different direction than the first one. If I want to know, hey, what are these two added together? We'll just call them A and B. So if I want to know what A plus B is, all I need to do is what's called the tip to tail method, which means I take the tip of the first vector and put it to the tail of the second. So these guys are going to meet up. So you can redraw this however you need. So that's an approximation scaled down of what I just drew. So when you add two vectors, obviously that's still sort of like, well, that's awesome, but what did that really get me? And what it got you is what's called a resultant vector. And so A plus B, we're going to call it R. It's going to be lighter blue, hopefully. This marker works. Hey, it does. So what you do is you start at the tail of the first vector and end at the tip of the last one. So that little one, I'm sorry, it's very small. That blue one is your resultant. I will draw it slightly bigger over here. So here's vector A, here's vector B, and here's the resultant. So, this resultant can be made up of infinite number of combinations of A's and B's. They can be at different angles, they can be different lengths. You know, we could have A go on like 100 meters that way and B has to come, you know, almost 100 back. Everything like that. We can get this R so many different ways. The way that we usually do though is in something that's called vector components. So what happens right here is I can actually say that A and B are components of R because A plus B gives us R in vector addition.